Serial killers have existed throughout history, leaving a trail of terror in their wake. This passage explores some of the most infamous cases, detailing their crimes and the impact they had on society. Ted Bundy. On the surface, like many serial killers, Ted Bundy was said to be a charming and charismatic guy. And with this, between 1974 and 1978, Bundy went on a multi-state killing spree, primarily targeting young women and girls. He would lure his victims by posing as an authority figure or pretending to need help, using things like pretending to be hurt and using crutches or a sling to manipulate victims into helping him. This not only made him seem less threatening, but also provided an opportunity to get them close to his vehicle, only to brutally murder them. Jeffrey Dahmer would usually lure men, primarily young African American men and boys, back to his apartment, where he would put drugs in their drinks, and afterward, he would do what he pleased with them. After killing his victims, he would dismember their bodies and keep various body parts, such as skulls, hands, and genitalia, with him, even eating some of the body parts. He tried different experiments on some victims, hoping it would put them in a sort of zombie-like state by using a drill and harmful chemicals, thinking this would make them stay forever. With 5 victims and 5 throats cut with almost surgeon-like precision, Jack the Ripper's death toll wasn't as high, per se, as other serial killers. But he did do one thing the others couldn't. He got away. The murders took place in the poor Whitechapel district of London in 1888, where the victims were all prostitutes, who he most likely paid for their services, but, unknown to them, they had been paid to die. Charles Manson. Manson was essentially a cult leader who formed a commune known as the Manson family in the late 1960s, which attracted a devoted group of followers, mostly young women, with his ideologies and charismatic personality. He preached a darker philosophy that involved starting a race war he called Helter Skelter, with the plan being to commit murders against celebrities and blame it on particular black gangs. In August 1969, under Manson's orders, members of his cult murdered pregnant actress Sharon Tate, along with 4 others at her home in Los Angeles. The following night, they killed couple Leno and Rosemary LaBianca in their home. The Butcher of Plainfield. Ed Gaines lived an isolated life with his harsh mother on their family farm in the small town of Plainfield, Wisconsin. After his mother died in 1945, Gaines' already fragile mental state deteriorated further, leading him down a dark path of necrophilia, grave robbery, and finally murder. In 1957, when local authorities investigating a local woman's disappearance had to search his property, the quiet farmer's house turned out to be among the worst things in murder history. The Night Stalker. Through June 1984, a series of murders would be committed in the form of home invasions and murders across California. The murder methods were particularly evil, as he would break into homes late at night, brutalize his victims with beatings and assaults, and often commit satanic rituals before murdering them. The police were possibly dealing with a lunatic who was looking for his victims every night. He was known to leave satanic symbols at the crime scenes, leading to his Night Stalker name. His crimes weren't just murders, but extreme violence, sadism, and a seeming lack of remorse or empathy for his victims. The Rostov Ripper would go on to murder, and at least 53 women and children in the Russian towns of Rostov, Shoksty, and Novocherkassk between 1973 and 1990. His victims ranged from 7 to 36, and he would often engage in acts of necrophilia and cannibalism after the killings. Andrei Chikatilo preyed upon vulnerable individuals by exploiting their trust or desperation. He would often approach his victims in public places such as bus or train stations, markets, or parks, offering them money, food, or assistance. In fact, the Soviet Union during the 1980s was bad to live. The victims were desperate. He would do this before subjecting them to acts of violence, including and even biting off their tongues and other body parts. Despite an investigation by Soviet authorities, Chikatilo remained at large for over a decade. His killing spree finally came to an end in 1990, when he was arrested after a routine document check revealed his connection to the murders. Zodiac Killer. The Zodiac Killer was a murderer who seemed to not only kill for the sake of it, but rather the media attention that would come with it. To him, at the end of the day, it was all just a game of catch me if you can. He seemed to love the idea of this game between him and the police, and enjoyed the fear he caused. He would send very detailed letters to the police and the media, telling them information about the murderers that only the killer would know. He also added a sense of mockery to the police, as he sent letters with secret codes saying they could show who he was if solved. John Wayne Gacy would be Pogo the Clown during local community events and charities, but in private, he would go on to be the mass murderer who would go on to kill 33 young men in his home in Norwood Park Township, Illinois. Between 1972 and 1978, Gacy lured at least 33 young men and boys to his home after advertising jobs in public areas. Once they were inside, he would kill them before eventually strangling or suffocating them to death. His killing spree came to an end in 1978, when the police discovered a significant number of human remains buried in the crawl space of his home and the surrounding area. Despite the chilling nature of these crimes, understanding serial killers can help us learn about criminal behavior and develop methods for prevention and apprehension. Thanks for watching my videos. Don't forget to subscribe and like for more content like this. See you next time.